All right, today, guys, we're going to be in shift, and we're going to be between pages 135 and 156. Don't try to follow along in the book. You won't be able to. Just know that homework assignment, go into pages 135 and 156 and find the information that we're going to speak on today. The title of what we're going to talk about today is the science and skill of pricing. And Gary starts tactic 7, price ahead of the market, with a quote. And the quote that he shares is the ability to learn faster. Now, you guys know me, and I'm going to slow down and have conversations about words. Pay attention to learn, pay attention to the word faster, because he didn't just say the ability to learn, he said the ability to learn faster. So that word's important. Pay attention to it. The ability to learn faster than your competitors, another important word. Pay attention to that word. May be the only sustainable advantage. The last word that I want you to underline in that quote is sustainable, because there's a reason he says that. Now, I have 3 questions for you. I just want you to write these 3 questions down, and then we're going to get into the conversation. Question number 1 is, what do I need to learn? What do I need to learn right now in order to succeed in this market? The second question I want you to write down is, what is learning faster? What is learning faster than my competitor? Why is learning faster than my competitors important? Why is learning faster than my competitors important? How does it give me an advantage? How does learning faster than my competitors give me an advantage? All right, the last question I want you to write down is sustainable. Sustainable advantage. What's an example of an advantage that's not sustainable? Now, there's many, and I'll give you one just to get you on the right track. If my strategy is to reduce my commission fee in order to take more listings, that might give me an advantage over my competitors, but it's not sustainable, because somebody else can always come in behind me and lower their fee lower than I did. So it's not a sustainable advantage. What are some other examples you can think of that are not sustainable advantages? And then remember, the one sustainable advantage that you have is learning faster than your competitors. All right. The moment the media declares a real estate shift, it's as if the market just got doused in a cold shower. Wary of paying too much, buyers go too far and begin to offer too little, and only properties that appear to be serious bargains get serious attention. Only properties. The only properties that are going to get serious attention are the properties that appear to be a bargain. Now, I'm sitting at the kitchen table, I'm having a conversation with you, and we're going to talk strategy in order to get your goals accomplished so you can get your home under contract in the next 30 days and move to Atlanta by the end of September in order to start a new job. Now, we're going to look at the price range that we're focused on, and we're going to ask, where do we need to be so that buyers look at us as a serious bargain? Because Mr. and Mrs. Seller, what are buyers looking for? They're looking for a good deal. They're actually looking to steal your home, right? Just like a seller wants to sell their home for absolutely as much as they possibly can. And when the market's hot and buyers are competing over that property, they're driving the price up. Sellers don't have a challenge with that. They're cool. I want to get the most amount of money for my home, and I love the fact that these buyers are driving the price up. I'm good. Now, the moment the buyers start to pull back and they're only looking for properties that they see as a good bargain, and they're making offers too low because now there's no bottom, now all of a sudden the sellers are going to start saying things like, I'm not going to give my home away. Seller's script, write it down. Now, he goes on to say, well, never mind. Here's a question for you. So based on what I just shared with you, which is the moment the media declares there's a shift, it's as if the market got doused in a cold shower and buyers, weary of paying too much, begin to offer too little. And only properties that appear to be serious bargains get serious attentions. Yeah, I know, Maddie, right? You and me. Now, here's a question. Put your thinking cap on. Let's go back to the quote that we started with, the ability to learn faster. So I want you to put your thinking cap on and ask, what did I learn? What did I learn from the previous paragraph that I just shared with you from Shift? Now, again, I'll give you an answer in order to help get you on the right track. Here's what I learned. Sellers who are slow to recognize this shift will quickly become overpriced and overlooked. Sellers who are slow to recognize this shift will shortly soon become overpriced and overlooked. And in a minute, we're going to look at a property that I had a conversation with a real estate agent yesterday. You know, it's interesting because I post these to Facebook and because of my YouTube channel, I get calls from agents often that aren't even in our office, that aren't even with Keller Williams. And the conversation usually sounds something like, John, I've had this property on the market for 30 days and I'm freaking out because it hasn't sold yet and I haven't gotten any offers. Can you take a look at it and let me know why you think it's not selling? Now, we're going to look at a property. This is a real life example, and we're going to talk about why this particular property might have a tough time selling. All right, a market shift underscores the importance of pricing and exposes cavalier agents who don't give it researched attention and serious thought. The most successful agents become masters of the skill and science of pricing. The most successful agents become masters of the skill and science of pricing. Now, if you're anything like me, then you're asking yourself, what is the skill? What is the science of pricing? What does that mean? In order for me to become a master of the skill and the science of pricing, first, I have to understand what that means. So let's talk about that. You are making an observation and a forecast. So there's 4 words I want you to write down: skill, science, observation, forecast. Skill, science, observation, forecast. Observation is a science. Observation is looking at current market pricing. It's determining where we should be, what the value is based on current market pricing, and this requires thorough, fact-based analysis. Now, forecast is skill, and the skill of forecasting is an inexact ability to predict market direction and speed. In other words, where are we at? Where are we going? Where are we at? Observation. Where are we going? Forecast. Where are we at? Science. Where are we going? Skill. Forecast is an inexact ability to predict market direction and speed. All right, everybody with me so far? We're doing good, right? All right, we're going to go to the whiteboard. Now, the property that this agent called me on was listed at $1.5 million. They've lowered the price to $1.4 million and change. I don't know the exact price. It's $1,400,000 and something. Okay. I did some research on this property and I looked in the zip code where this property is located. And I looked in 2 different price ranges. I looked from $1 million to $1,250,000 and $1,250,000 to $1,500,000. Now, we're going to start with $1,250,000 to $1,500,000 because that's currently where this particular seller is. And in that location, there are currently 15 properties for sale. Those are the actives. Now, in the last 90 days, there were 6 that sold. So in the last 3 months, there were 6 properties sold. That means how many are selling every 30 days? 6 divided by 3. Thank you. So there's 2 homes selling every 30 days. And we have 15 properties for sale. So the next part of our supply and demand equation is to take A divided by C, or 15 divided by 2. How many times does 2 go into 15?
7.5.
So from $1,250,000 to $1,500,000, we have a 7.5 month supply of inventory. Now let's go back to the conversation. John, I've got this listing. We started at $1.5 million. We've lowered the price and we're still not getting any offers. Can you take a look at it for me and tell me why it's not selling? And in order to sell that property, there's 2 selling every 30 days. There's 15 that are currently available. 15, that's our competition. In order to sell your home, you've got to be one of the top 2 properties. You got to be one of the 2 properties that are going to sell, which means you have to be one of the top 2 properties in location, amenities, and condition. And you have to be one of the bottom 2 properties when it comes to price. In other words, the target that we're looking for is right here. It's small. It's based on bottom third in price, top third in condition. Now, if this property that's currently priced for $1,400,000 and change is going to sell for, let's say, $1,150,000, then they're actually priced up here, which means they're out of the market. Not only are they not in that target zone where they need to be for $1,250,000 to $1,500,000, they're actually out of the market. They're not going to be one of the 2 homes that sell in the next 30 days because out of these other 15 properties, there's going to be homes that are on the market that are bigger, better location, more updated. Now, if I looked at $1 million to $1,250,000, there's currently 8 homes for sale. So we have half the competition. Now, 8 sold in the last 90 days, which means there are roughly 8 divided by 3. 9 would be 3 months, 3 every 30 days. Yes. So let's make it 2.75. And if we had 8 properties for sale and we divided that by 2.75, how many times does 2.75 go into 8? It's 3.5. You guys can get out your calculators. I'm going to be really close. And if I'm off, just chime in and say, hey, John, you got that way wrong. It's 3.5 months. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you can either choose to compete in a market where you have to be one of the top 2 properties and you're competing against 15 homes that are currently available and you have a 7.5 month supply of inventory, or you can choose to be in a market where you're competing against 8 homes, not 15. There's actually 2.75 homes selling every 30 days. So there's more homes selling and we have a 3.5 month supply of inventory, not a 7.5 month supply of inventory. In which one of these markets do you have a better chance of getting your home sold in the next 30 days so that you could be in Atlanta by the end of September in order to sell your home? And if you're in a market and there's 7.5 months of inventory, are you in a market where the prices are going up? Are you in a market where prices are stable? Are you possibly in a market where prices are coming down? In other words, what's the direction of the market? What's the forecast? I would tell you you're in a market where prices are coming down because with 7.5 months of inventory, with 2 homes selling every 30 days and 15 that are for sale, we're going to have sellers who are more motivated than you are, who are dropping their price in order to get their home sold. We possibly also have sellers on the condition line who have a better location, better amenities, more updated, newer, and more competitive on price. So are we going to be one of the 2 homes that sell in the next 30 days? Probably not. We have a better chance of being one of the 3 homes. We're going to round it up to 3. We have a better chance of being one of the 3 homes that are going to sell out of 8 homes that are currently available between $1 million and $1,250,000. So this particular listing that's at $1,400,000 and change, if they want to sell their home, what should they do? I've given you the answer to all of the other questions. I'm not going to give the answer to this one. Raise your hand if you think you know the answer. Madeline, talk to me.
I would say drop the price to 1.25.
There you go. That's it. So in order to sell your home, we need to be in a market between $1 million and $1,250,000. In order to give you a fighting chance to sell your home, we need to get that price down to $1,250,000. All right, so let me ask you guys a question because this is part of the conversation. If my home is bigger than the other homes that are selling in that price range, if I have more bedrooms than the homes that I'm competing against, and I have 15 properties that I'm competing against, but mine's bigger and I have more bedrooms, does that mean that I'm going to get more money for my home? Does that mean that I have a better chance of being one of the top 2 properties that sell in that market? There's these other 15 homes. There's properties that are smaller than mine, but they're more updated. They have a pool. I don't. Okay. That's another challenge for me is I don't have a pool. They have a pool. I don't. They're newer. They're more updated, but they're smaller and they don't have as many bedrooms. Who's going to win the competition? The larger home with more bedrooms or the smaller home that's more updated with a pool? Who's going to win the competition?
Smaller home.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be the smaller home with more updates and a pool. Remember, sellers they go to script school too, and they believe that their home is worth what they're asking. They're attached to the outcome, and you don't want to be attached to the outcome. That's science and skill. Science and skill does not involve being attached. You have to be unattached in order to do the job the right way. And if I have 8 bedrooms, this home doesn't, okay? It just has more bedrooms and it's bigger, okay? If I have 8 bedrooms, is that an advantage or is it a disadvantage? It's a good question. Gotcha, didn't I?
John, so can I have a question because
Yep.
I'm in a situation now with a listing, and this is where it becomes like, is there any rhyme or reason? Sometimes when you've got things that are selling, they and even though you are on a higher floor, I'm going to use condominium because you mentioned is it an advantage having more bedrooms, right? And you could be even more updated, right? And the other places are not updated, other homes. I'm going to use condominiums for a second. So I have a listing and we are the penthouse, we are updated. All of them are 2 bedrooms, yet the other units are not updated. They're 2 bedrooms and they're selling $100,000 more than my unit. Now go figure, right? So I'm having that kind of like, we just did a reduction and still not getting showing. So where at that point I know that this is where pricing is really important, because at some point there is square footage involved. They have more square footage because they have, even though we're 2 bedrooms, that is that becomes a play into it. And they have wraparound balconies, and my unit doesn't. So that is something that I know is playing. However, when it comes down to it, I can't change. There's certain things that I cannot change about this unit, but the buyers obviously want that.
That's it.
They want it.
What I would do in that case, Victoria, is I would do a deeper dive into what's selling. And I would look at, there's X number of properties that have sold in the last 90 days. And let's just say that number is 12 to pick a number, okay? That means there's 4 selling every 30 days, by the way. And out of the 12 properties that sold in the last 90 days, 10 of them have wraparound balconies. Well, that's telling me that buyers prefer condos in your building with a wraparound balcony versus one without a wraparound balcony. So that it may not sound like it's a big deal, but it is, because the market's telling us that that's what buyers prefer. And the only way we're going to win the competition, because we're competing against other properties right now that have those wraparound balconies, and the only way we're going to beat that competition is on price. We can't change your balcony, but we can change the price. Let me go back to the conversation on bedrooms, guys, because this is important. Can the number of bedrooms make a difference? Yes, it can. There's a difference between 3 bedrooms and 4 bedrooms. There's a difference between 2 bedrooms and 3 bedrooms. 100%. There absolutely is. But if I have a really large home and I have an unordinary number of bedrooms, like 6 bedrooms or 7 bedrooms or 8 bedrooms, that can actually become a disadvantage, not an advantage. And let me share with you why. Because 8 bedrooms is going to be attractive if you attract a buyer that needs 8 bedrooms. Now, look at the mass majority of buyers that are looking for properties between $1 million and $1,250,000. Look at the buyers who are looking between $1,250,000 and $1,500,000. And out of that pool of buyers, how many of those buyers are looking for a home with 6 bedrooms, 7 bedrooms, 8 bedrooms? It's a smaller number. When a seller tells you they have a really unique property, immediately red flag. It's not something that I want to celebrate. My first thought is it's going to be hard to sell. If I'm selling a unique property, I'm looking for a unique buyer. And I would rather have a cookie cutter listing that is like every single other property in the neighborhood, priced in that same price range where all of the other homes are selling, in order to attract as many buyers as I can potentially attract. Unique is not necessarily good unless you attract a buyer who's looking for whatever makes that property unique. I sold a log cabin in northern Pinellas County. There's no log cabins. And this seller was determined that because they had a log cabin, buyers would be knocking down the door to buy their home, that their home was going to be easier to sell because it was a log cabin. And in reality, it was exactly the opposite. Because we have to find a buyer who wants a log cabin. We have to find a buyer that's like, oh, wow, log cabin, that's exciting, versus traditional Florida home. We sold it, but it wasn't easy to sell. If you have a property that is a luxury price and it doesn't have luxury updates and luxury amenities, it's going to be hard to sell. This particular property, let's just say it's 20 years old. And that means the floors are 20 years old, the kitchen is 20 years old, the bathrooms are 20 years old, and we're competing against properties $1 million plus. What do buyers that are spending $1 million plus want? They want move-in ready, completely updated. I don't want to do a thing but unpack my bags and live. And if I have 15 homes to choose from, I'm going to find that. I'm going to find what I'm looking for. If I only have 8 homes to choose from, I might not find exactly a move-in ready property. And now I go from having a disadvantage against tougher competition to having the advantage against inferior competition. I go from helping the competition sell to being the shining star. Where do I need to be in order to be the shining star is the question. If I'm sitting at your kitchen table, I'm pulling out a legal pad and I'm drawing this, and I'm having this conversation with you at the kitchen table. By the way, I'm not making any recommendations. I'm simply sharing the data and letting the data do the heavy lifting. And I'm just asking you, Madeline, based on the information you're looking at, what do you want to do? Yeah, and if she says, I'm going to stick to my price because I need the money or whatever, and I know that I cannot meet her goals and exceed her expectations, it's a takeaway. And I'm going to go back to my listing consultation. I'm simply going to remind Madeline, hey, Madeline, you remember when we sat down at the kitchen table, I shared with you that whenever I meet with a potential seller, one of 3 things typically happens. One of those things, if you remember, was I turn the opportunity down. And the only reason I would turn an opportunity down is if I feel that a seller has a goal that I cannot meet and an expectation I can't exceed. And at this price, unfortunately, I feel like you have a goal that I can't meet, an expectation I can't exceed. So if it's this price or you're not selling your home, then at this point, I think we should part friends. In other words, I'll send you the paperwork and we'll take your listing off the market. Tough to do, and it's the right thing to do. All right.
What if you bargain with them first? Say,
Oh, you're absolutely going to bargain with them. You're absolutely going to bargain with. You had an offer tomorrow for $1,300,000. What would you do? Sell it. Okay, just curious. If it was $1,250,000, what would you do? I'm going to keep going down until I find out where their heart stops. It's a script. It's called the "Where Does Your Heart Stop" script. And I'm simply going to find where Madeline says, no, that's it. If I have to sell it for $1,250,000, I'm just not selling it. But I'd sell for $1,300,000. Okay, then we should get to $1,300,000 and give you a fighting chance to get that price. So let's lower the price to $1,300,000. Would you agree? Cool, let's do it. All right, raise your hand, guys. Talk to me. What are your thoughts, questions, ahas? Vicki.
Wow, the what properties are selling to me is really important. So we really